for all of its faults and failings, the US higher education system is awesome. And it's so American. Like, you could not get a degree that you get in the United States anywhere else in the world because we have so much freedom over how our higher ed is structured. Like, where you go, what you study, what's in the degree,
Who
did you
creates
take a
class,
language?
what the
Yeah.
what
I
the
mean, and
requirements are to graduate.
like, I remember the first time I talked to a student from South America who told me, like, oh, yeah, well, you pick lawyer and you only take law classes for 5 years. And I was like, oh, my God. Drive me into the back of a truck. This sounds terrible. Or you have places like Germany, incredible apprenticeship and like middle skills, blue collar training programs. But you have to decide, and this is true in a lot of European countries, you basically have to decide if you're going to college by like 13. Because you either go to the college high school.
College prep high school or pre-trade high school. Yeah.
Yeah, you either go to the trade high school or the prep high school, and they're not the same, and you can't switch. And if you change your mind, too bad. And
Unlike, the United States, we had vocational education in the little town I grew up in, and a lot of people did it, and they'd done very well for themselves and, start working right out of school. But if they decided after 10 years, as running a hair salon that they don't want to do that anymore, you can still go back to college in the United States.
yeah, but you don't like if you go to a trade high school in other countries, it's not clear you never get to go. So the US has a ton of freedom, including over what you study. And like, take it from someone who was basically a humanities major and now has a PhD in STEM. Like, you don't have to be a freshman STEM. It doesn't matter that I like, when did I take a math class and when? Like, I had the freedom to follow what I loved and what I fell in love with to, whatever education conclusion I wanted. And I didn't have to decide to be an economist at 13. And I wouldn't have been one.
Yeah. No, all people would do is what their parents did.
Yeah.
Because it's all you know.
Because it's all you know. And to the number of careers I abandoned before and during college, and then honestly, the first 2 years after, I mean, it's just like, there's like 7 different careers, some of them a lot bigger timeline than others, but like, man, did I walk away from a lot. And then like,
Yeah.
here I am with a PhD and I run my own business. Like, I'm a successful person, but it's because I had so much choice and freedom to find out what I wanted to do and not the opposite. So a lot of the how we fix the financing of higher ed rest on this, like, but how do we keep it special? Like, how do we keep it American?
Yeah, and how do we keep, it's one of the best exports we have, right? I mean, people come from all over the world to go to school here because of the system.
What's crazy is that if you're a student from abroad in America, we basically count all of your spending as an export.
If you're a student, wait, we count all of your spending. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, like, you spend tuition.
Got
So you come from England, you come to the US, you pay full freight tuition, you go to the University of Wisconsin, go Bucky, right? All of that counts as an export.
Right. It's as if we have exported that education and
We have
it's been bought by a
exported that,
foreign.
like, yeah, that little piece of education that you bought is technically counted on our trade balance as an export, which is why education services is one of the biggest, like, trade surpluses we have. Because technically we export so much education, even though I'm still right here. So that's confusing.
It is confusing, but it's also, it's also soft political power. It's goodwill around the world.
Oh yeah, and people love coming here.
Yeah.
Oh, our version of, they don't make movies about college in France. Okay, like, not the way they'll make it about America. Like, the American college experience is like, that's crazy. I want that. But yeah, I mean, you want to preserve something. So like, so I went to UT Austin. Yeah, go Longhorns. Yeah.
I did not. Yeah, but I
would say Texas, and then you're supposed to say yeehaw.
Okay, you want to practice that?
No, I feel like you're not into it. Like, it's got to stay special. But it's a chance.
Saying yeehaw with my Ohio accent probably wouldn't do it for you. Anyway.
Now, if it had a crisp R in it.
There's no R in yeehaw.
Yeah, but my undergraduate program had a degree. It was an honors program, and for whatever brilliant reason, they decided to name this honors program Plan 2. and that is the name of the major.
You
And
have a BA in plan too?
I have a BA in Plan 2. And yeah, I mean,
That
obviously
sounds a
people
little Russian. That sounds like a little Soviet.
I know, doesn't it? And the joke was like, "I don't have a major, but I plan to." Um, uh-huh, uh-huh. It's good. Yeah, there's cleverness there. But the major itself is like, I can't even say what it was. It's basically humanities. Like, the whole idea was that you got access to, like, really small discussion classes where I took biology, I took math, I took physics, I took languages, I took a Russian lit, discussion class. So like none of them added up to a major. So they were like, well, we just have to call it Plan 2 because like these people basically studied
A
nothing and
little of
everything.
everything, yeah. Which is what a liberal arts education essentially is, and it's a way to get that at a big university.
Yes, it's a truly liberal arts majorless occupation. We used to joke like I'm studying to be good at dinner parties. Like or Jeopardy. That was another one we used to joke around
This
of
is the
like, what else?
pre-Jeopardy major.
This is the I'm in pre-Jeopardy. But what you just or pre-Trivial Pursuit. But I had this, like, incredibly broad education during which I was picked, like, 5 different careers, and then, afterwards,
Picked up a couple
had
of economics classes.
yeah, I took an econ stat class that was a requirement in order to take a government class that I really wanted to take on public policy. And so I had to take the econ stat class, and the econ stat class was taught by an economics professor, and it was like the pre-econometrics class. And this professor was like, "What are you going to do with your life?" And I was like, "I think I'm going to study international relations and get some master's degrees." And he was like, "Stop. You need to be an economist." And I was like, "That sounds tough. I'm probably not gonna do that, but you're hilarious." And then, like, 3 years later, I was like, "So can you write me a letter for an econ PhD? And also, can you kind of gloss over the fact that I haven't taken math in 8 years, and also I don't understand economics?" "Okay, thanks." He wrote me what I assume is an amazing letter because I actually got into a PhD program, and I was the only person in my program that did not have a math undergraduate degree or math undergraduate minor. It was like math, physics, everywhere. And I'm like, well, what I learned from my Russian lit junior seminar on the Master and Margarita is that actually Russian lit might not prepare you for econometric theory. So, but like that was my journey.
Yeah, everybody's got their journey.
And if you plan too much, people don't get to have a journey, and you're never going to plan as well as people plan for themselves.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just think of college as, just being exactly that experience that you're talking about, where you're exposed to, people who have ideas about their career. My freshman roommate was, a biomedical engineering major, and we were like in so many ways, we came from small towns in the Midwest, but I was like, "I don't even know what biomedical engineering is."
Also, how'd you pick it at 18? Like, where'd that come from?
Exactly, like, and, I show up, I'm a screenwriting major, like, we're and we're and you're just stuck together, and you take and we did not have Plan 2 at my school, but we had an honors program. It was a 2-year honors program that took care of your general education requirements. It was called thematic option, or TO for short, which is equally bad. And I
I don't
remember,
know, does it have a 2 in it?
well, it spells "to," T-O. I remember, like, this was being explained to me, and I was 18 at home, and they were like, "Yeah, and you can do this thing, and it's called thematic option and blah, blah, blah," and I was just like, "What is this, and why would I wanna do it?" And finally, they're like, "Oh," they didn't just call it, like, an honors program, and they're like, "Oh, smaller classes and better professors," and I was like, "Oh, okay, sign me up."
Oh, yeah, yes, I'm here. But then this is what like, I think this is the part maybe this is the risk and less so Knightian uncertainty, but, like, this is the risk that, like, the beauty and risk of higher education in the US is that the federal government has this, like, find yourself system that is, to a degree unregulated, to a degree unplanned, with the notion that if you sent a lot of bright people to a place and got them together, they are going to arrive at a human capital investment that's better than anything you could come up with. And that is a risk. And if you wanted college to be less risky, you would make it centrally planned. You would make us Germany. You would make us Argentina. You
You
would
would
take
say
away, you know
15% of graduates are gonna have to be engineers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would have, like, we need this many engineers and this many people in STEM, and we
This many
need
people are
or
gonna be doctors, pre-med.
yeah, and this many pre-law, and you would apportion out degrees based on what you saw as necessary staffing requirements for occupations, and you could ruin all this magic and have less risk to the college degree. And I think this whole thing that goes back to higher ed financing is that the government benefits so much from the amount of risk that they put into this investment. They get it back. They don't get it back for every student, but they get it back. And so if it doesn't work out for some students, like, what do you wanna do? Like, do you either wanna ruin what it means to have college in America, or are you gonna possibly admit that maybe, like, you didn't take the right step here, or, like, you didn't regulate the people charging this money and let them get away with highway robbery and non-transparent pricing and, like, preying on 18-year-olds who don't know how to borrow, like, this is what the government gets out of it is, like, us, like, reminiscing about, like, our really dumb degrees. And here we are, like, very successful people because we went to college, like, this is what they get.